Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Backpacktrader training room for Tuesday, July 13th, 2021. Please do say hello. Give me a quick sound check if you would this morning. And hit that like button. Good morning, Bruce. Thank you very much. Good morning, Ron. All right, jumping in this morning. Crude. This 200 EMA short was before our start time and went right to money management just about our start time, so no trade there. So our first trade of the morning, and I didn't update this. Oops. First trade of the morning is this long that hit targets 1 and 2 for 13 and 20 ticks, triggering an entry at 87. Targets at 74 even and 74.07. 33 ticks this morning. If you were using the trailer, it went to 74.08. But hitting all 4 targets on that trade, and a one and done 9 a.m. mini session. And good morning, Miles and Armando. Unleaded. Excuse me for one moment while I take care of a trade here. The pound Aussie has been successful on the short on my chart. Unleaded picking up a nice long, a bit earlier than crude, but still similar to the same move, going well beyond its 4th target, and the trailer really doing well as well. So we have an entry on unleaded at 27.76. And a 25 tick target. Small trade, but 27.76, and we trailed all the way up to 29.19. So 143 ticks on the trailer for 168 ticks on the day. $640. That's a nice day's work. And the markets are open. YM already in a long, so we'll wait for a new setup there. And soybeans, I don't know if that short was tradable or not, but the long should be 57.25, definitely in that one now. If that was, yeah, 9 seconds to money management, but never came back to entry after the start. So definitely not tradable. So we're in the long trade here. Let's take a look at the pound Aussie. We had a couple of early trades that canceled in the traded day service. And the Russell with the short, if you're trading the Russell, I would definitely get that below the EMA. I'd call that 65.7, and it has triggered in. And money management and target one. How big was target one? 22. So yeah, we're looking for target two, and there's target two. So the Russell going to be one and done this morning. Targets 1 and 2 hit on the short on the pound Aussie in trade today. My chart's hitting target 3 now, with the stop at 68. Trade today currently at 71. Trade today's trade was at 74. Mine was at 73, but that was a tick and or pip and a half above the 20 EMA. I would have brought that down a couple of ticks to 71. I don't think the trade's not big enough to adjust all the way to 69. So that's where we are at the moment there. Looking at my chart was a little different than trade today, but I wanted to make another point this morning. If you looked at Forex Factory Consumer Price Index, which is a red label report, and Core CPI were both released at 8:30, which is our start time, and that should be a 5-minute stand down for news. So I would not have looked for the first trade, which I had the first trade on my chart at 8:31. 15-second bar. So I would have avoided that loss, which happened very quickly after the report. The report came out right along in here, and it went like that for the next 2 minutes, and finally settled down. We got this short at 8:40. 20 seconds, maybe got in, maybe didn't. It's a very small trade. I would have preferred to get below the 20 or the 200 EMA again there, but I don't think there's enough room to do that. Effectively. And then so we finally got to this trade, which is the same trade that Trade Today finally triggered into. Trade Today didn't trigger into the two earlier trades that were posted. So we are in a POQ trade for the pound Aussie. And the Russell stopping out between targets 1 and 2 to complete its session. Soybeans stopping and reversing. Too short. 13.55 even. So short now on soybeans. And the YM also in a short, just below the 50 EMA at 827. The YM looks like it's not really sure where it's going this morning. It was got some good volatility in it. That's a full stop out on the YM this morning. And a long trade off the 200 EMA at 866. Got to 67, it looks like, so I would put that at 868. Target 3 hit on Trade Today. You might have gotten in on that at the entry at 66, but the way that pushed through pretty quickly, I would have pushed it on up to 68. Okay, let's see. Yeah, I got the 840 and got the target too, but it was extreme. It was very, very small. Sure, Ron. I didn't refresh mine this morning, so that's possibly what it is. Let's see where we are. And if you took the adjustment, you avoided the long, then you picked up a short on the YM. And that one, I would have waited for the short to test the high before I took that, with given the noisy nature of the price action. And so we have a long at 71. So taking the full loss on the first trade, both the long and the short were avoidable, I believe. But if you took the short, you took a second full loss, and then you're now in the long. All right, let's take a look at the calculator on crude. Did you not, Ron? Did you not get the long trade that I did, or was it grayed out? And the pound Aussie moving down through target 4 and trailing down nicely. You didn't get the SMA trade. I don't believe I had an SMA trade on that. Let me see some. Go back and look at that. Oh, okay. Now, you're talking about the EMA trade off the 200 here, just before 9 o'clock? That's D05, the EMA2 trade. So unless you have the diamond level calculator, you don't have that one or the SMA trades available in your calculator. But yeah, I haven't had it. Oh no, yeah. Now the later, if you're talking about, I did see a later SMA trade. I think. Oh no, that was on unleaded. But no, I haven't had any SMA trades this morning. But I did have that early EMA trade, but that was not a tradable trade because it was before our start time. But that is part of the diamond level trade plan. If you don't have inputs D05 and D06 in your calculator, you won't be able to get those two. Okay, so yeah, D05 is the trade off the 200 EMA, which is the magenta trade that's showing up right there. Because notice we've got an oversold reading, but that's a proximity to the 200 EMA. So you turn on D05 for that trade and D06 for the SMA, which is what the dark blue trade is the SMA trade. The light blue is the normal oversold trade. All right, the YM getting a 200 EMA stop and reverse possibility, so that would push up to 78 for the stop and reversal. Actually, 79. Nope, 79 wouldn't stay, so we go to 81. So that's your stop and reverse. And that trade is about to cancel, and that's interesting. Yeah, it just canceled. So the trade just canceled. So I'd leave the stop at 81. Go ahead and reduce risk, and there's money management. That's a fairly sizable trade. Yeah, 36 ticks to target 1, 55 to, and target 1 is 818, and we hit it on the nose. Stop to 851. So we got what, 36? No, I take that back. That was a stop and reverse, so it was at 52. So we picked up 34 on the target. I don't have a dark blue trade on this chart. Oh, wait a minute. No, there's not a. Okay, yeah, that's right. You got the. Okay, you said the dark blue trade was. Where was yours? Where was your dark blue trade? Because I'm seeing the crossover. Yeah, I'm not seeing exhaustion dots, but this trade at 857 would have been quite likely, or quite that. I think if I remember correctly, that trade does show up as dark blue on the default calculator. Uh, 907. Okay, that's a regular light blue. And that was the one I was asking you about. I suspect that's showing up as grayed out because you have the crossover filter still set at 20 bars, whereas mine is at 8. So that would be the difference. Yeah, that's a regular OSO. That's an oversold long trade. It's not an SMA. But yeah, it's grayed out because it's prop. Is your magenta bar here 2 bars before it, or does it come up about 10 bars after that trade? My guess is this is your magenta bar right here, and that would be bar 20. And it's 20 is not wrong. That's what the default that comes with the calculator. But what Troy and I both have found is that 8 is usually sufficient to keep you out of most of the noise occurring right after the crossover right here, which is what that filter is the crossover filter. And in this case, 8 was the right setting because after 10 bars, you got the long that was successful. And if you didn't get that one, you certainly should have gotten this one, which was also successful, and you'd be one and done as well. Okay, and we're in a new long on so we had a 60 tick loss there. I would have avoided both of those. If you didn't avoid the second one, first one's definitely avoidable. Second one, maybe not. And that's another 68. So call it down 128. 71 to 52 is another 38. So that's 166. We picked up 34 on the target and 1 on the trailer because that was a stop and reverse. So 131 down, and we would take the long. I'd like to get would like to have gotten above the 20 SMA on that one, but it just was just far enough away that getting above it would also put me at a key level and needed further adjustment, and that was just too big of an adjustment. I'll have to look at that, Ron. I don't have the TA up right now on the chart. I'd have to I'd have to open a new calculator to take a look at that. Now, are you talking about in the calculator, or are you're talking about in this the order handling section of the settings for the strategy? Okay, I know I'm not gonna have a chance to load the TA right now because the TA is going to bog down my system even more. I've got enough charts open right now that I'm not going to be able to bring that up. So I will take a look at that and the strategy settings. Okay, I'll take a look at that this afternoon, and I'll try to answer that question for you tomorrow morning. I'm assuming that is the trade plan for the red label, that we should stand down for news on the red label reports, and Kevin just may not be aware of checking for that every morning. But I did look this morning, and saw that consumer price index reports, the two consumer price index reports coming out at 8:30. So I would stood down for 5 minutes. In fact, I didn't get into that 8:40 trade, but that was because I was working on getting set up for the room. Good morning, Keith. And as the video that was on the opening page of the YouTube channel for quite a while, I'd a whole lot rather be lucky than good, and luckily I got the later short, which is still trailing after going through all its targets, and it was a bigger trade, so definitely a win there. And coming up to the 10 a.m. crude session. With where your calculator settings were, Ron, I hope you got this yellow long trade on crude, because that should be your first trade of the day, or first trade of the 9 a.m. session. With where your calculator was set. That one getting 13 and 21, so it was almost exactly the same size trade. It got one additional tick on the second target, and it just stopped out at 74.34. And the pound Aussie looks like it just stopped out, at least on my chart. Of course, my stop was at 41. Kevin has a stop at 47. And I'm showing just hitting 47. But I know his moving averages are different because of the different data provider. And the YM taking another full stop. Not a good day on the YM. There will be days like this. So let's go back and see. So many other things going on. So let's see what soybeans did. There's 930. Yeah, that was too fast. So then we got the long. And that stopped in reverse. So we got 37.25 to 54.50 in the short. And that was a full stop. So soybeans not been good to us this morning. And then into the long again. And Kevin ending the session for trade today with the trade hitting the stop on the pound Aussie. So that one's done. All right, so 2 losses and we're in the long. You got a stop and reverse and a full stop out. And we're now in the long, and that's that's close to a full stop out as well. And soybeans stopping out, so that's and now we get a short trade that we're got to wait for a pullback to get into. And target 2 is going to be your, and that has not, if it gets to target 2, that's your 6 ticks right there at target 2. So because of the chase ticks, the entry showed up 2 ticks lower than the original setup. So here was your original money management, and that pushed down 2 more ticks. So money management is at target 2. And there's the entry. So long on the 4th trade. And let's see if we can go in and take a look at the. See, I don't think there's been any trades this morning. There's the. That'll work fine there. Let's see if we've had anything this morning. That would be 9:30 start on my chart, which didn't get a trade there. Look at the the bar at 835. That's when the Consumer Price Index report came out. And we're just about, in fact, we're back up to where we were when the report came out an hour and a half later. But no trades for the 8:35 to 9 session. And it looks like if we get we're in stand down now until 9:30 Central. So exchange time would be 9:30 start time for the second mini session on Catapult ES. So nothing to deal with there for another 25 minutes. And we're looking for a 10 a.m. session trade on crude. And that crude with a down move. I'd kind of like to see the crude close up, and then if it pulls down, we can get a short off the 50 EMA. And the other possibility is a long trade, regular oversold long on the close of this bar if it closes above the balance line. So close at this point would be 74.23, and that would put the entry at 74.26. And I would go to 28, get above the 20 SMA. That's going to be a big trade anyway. But that did go a little too high to pick up a trade off the yellow, off the 50. But it looks like it probably went high enough. Let's see how high did it go? 22. Yep. It will set up the exhaustion dots at 24, so we'll have the possibility of the SMA the dark blue SMA trade. That's something in the settings, Ron, is to make it a little less confusing. Good. What are you trading? What targets are you trading on the crude mini session, Ron? Because I would have been trading fixed targets to targets 1 and 2, which would have given you 34 ticks. Oh, wow! Yeah, trading a fixed target 3. That's a pretty big target for a lot of the trades on that 8-tick range bar. What kind of win percentage were you getting in your testing? My guess is you're getting quite a lot of partials. Yeah, but I bet a lot of those are partials. I wonder how many you're actually hitting the target. Because you're going to get a winning trade anytime you hit money management, basically. What's your average win per average winning trade return? That's going to be one of your key metrics, or just the average per trade. Yeah, but I recognize that T2 will most times give you 1-to-1 or very close, especially to the 8 tick. The target 1 doesn't, but it's large enough and high enough winning percentage that it's worthwhile. But just setting your target for a 1-to-1 risk reward ratio doesn't tell you anything about what the average win is. Because if with your money management level being at 0.9x versus target 3 at 1.5x, I'm sorry, 2, actually target 3 is 2x. And the question becomes, how often are you actually getting to that 1-to-1 risk reward ratio? And one of the reasons that the mini session, basic mini session trade plan that Troy presented originally was target 1 is a large enough trade to be worthwhile taking, and you're looking to try to get a higher winning percentage, and it may not be a 1-to-1 risk reward, but it also is a much higher winning percentage. It's probably just a little bit higher than target 3, but not a great deal, because anytime you hit money management, you're going to get a winning trade anyway. What's your average dollars per trade is one of the real key metric that you want to look at. And there is our first trade of the 10 a.m. crude session. A short at 73.99. And we'll have to see how it does. See if it can get through the $74 level. It spiked down there to get us into the trade. But looks like it is providing support at the moment. And we did pick up a long trade, but it's still 15 minutes or so, or a little less, 10 to 12 minutes before our start time for the 9:30 mini session. So we'll have to wait. And that's a possible get in sync. It did trigger in. So we can get in sync with that if we get to our start time at 9:30 Central, which is 10:30 Eastern. So 10:30 on my timestamps. And they short on the YM. See if the YM can be a bit more cooperative on this trade. And we have a potential stop and reverse on crude. At the stop at 74.26. Moving averages on crude all clustered together, all three of them within a couple ticks. Okay, the entry is plotting at 22. Of course, key stop and reverse adjustment to 24, and that, of course, key levels to the 26. So it would be a full stop. Money management's at 40, so no problem with size of the trade there. So far has so let's put that stop reverse entry right there. I'll go back line that I accidentally deleted on the YM. So the YM is short. All right, where are we here? Okay, we did get into the short on the soybeans trade. We got 6 at target 2 and 10 at target 3. And the trade, actually we got 12 at target 2 because we've taken 2 positions off there. So 22, and we're currently, the trailer's at 7. So 29. Not nearly enough to get positive yet, though. But yeah, going back to the news stand down on the pound Aussie, I was watching the pound Aussie when that report came out, and it, just like the Russell and the YM, they were all bouncing around like a jumping bean for the first couple of minutes right after the report. So it would have been very difficult to, and soybean stopping out on that trade would have been difficult to catch a good trade in there, because especially when it went back and forth like 3 or 4 times. Which is one of the reasons that I stayed away from the 840 trade. Because that trade actually was a result of that back and forth right after the report. Looks like we've just missed money management on the YM short. I mean, it looks like we're about 4 minutes away from session start on the micro ES. Still short on crude. Hopefully the 25-cent level on crude will provide resistance for us to continue down. And soybeans with a squeeze zone filtered trade. Let's see where it goes here. See if we can get a result on the crude trade. And we did hit money management on the YM. And there's target 1. So there's another 36 ticks for the YM target, which puts us down 95 now. I believe that was right, wasn't it? Oh, no, that's not going to. We were at 131. So we're at 84. Ooh, 215 down. On 2 positions. That's roughly roughly at least a 5% drawdown, about a 5% drawdown at this point on the full YM. To be able to trade two positions, you're going to be at somewhere around 20,000 or so minimum, and that's $1,000 drawdown on the day, plus a little bit so far. 215, then we just hit a 36 tick, so that takes us to 209, 179. Still short on crude. Our stop and reverse entry is up there at our full stop level at 26. Now, if we hit the stop on that long trade at 73.94, we will take the long will cancel. But since it did trigger in unadjusted, that's the only thing that will cancel it at this point. And crude going sideways, oscillating around the moving averages. And the YM trade stopped out, picking up 811 on the stop. And our entry was 814, so picking up 3. 176 down. The win, going back to your point, Ron, on going to target 3 for the 1-to-1 risk reward, test targets 1 and 2 for average win and see what you get compared to target 3, to a single position at target 3. You may find that using target 1 or target 2, while target 3 does give you the 1-to-1 risk reward ratio, targets 1 or 2 may ultimately be more profitable in the long run. Your winning percentage is going to be virtually the same, because the winning percentage on single position is more likely determined by the money management level, because you're basically going to get a winning trade every time you hit money management, but you won't necessarily get a full target. And I suspect you'll probably get more trailers using target 3 than you would with target 1 or even target 2. So the key is not necessarily to get your risk reward to 1-to-1, but you want to maximize your profit on a per trade basis. Now, what are you using for your POQ rules, Ron? Do you have to actually hit target 3, or are you anytime that target 1 is hit, you take POQ, even if you just get a partial? Okay, the long entry on the 10 a.m. crude session comes off. It just hit the stop on that. So we're in the short, but the long entry has been canceled now because it hit money management. And let's see, I wasn't looking at it. Looks like we did should have gotten in sync with that micro ES, and there's target 1. So 3.25 points for target 1, and that will be a POQ trade for the 9:30 mini session. Okay, so Yeah, you're going POQ if target one is hit, even though you only make a partial on on whatever the trailer gets. I think you may be a little surprised by what you find when you check on those average winning trade numbers. I'm assuming you're indicating with the fixed T3 you're just doing a single position trade. All right. Okay, getting down close to crude. Money management at 84. Spotlight is obviously saying it's flat, but since we are still in the short because of the stop and reverse adjustment, we're looking for 73.84 for money management and 73.82 for first target. Ron, take a look at volume and see how the volume is first, because you don't want to get stuck in something that's not got the liquidity. But that's always something to remember is test your single position first to get a good idea of what the win rate is, because it's really hard to tell when you start getting in multiple positions, because then you start getting in a situation where you have multiple exits on winning trades, so you get a win for each exit. Versus a losing trade that's going to have only one exit. And the micro ES trade did stop out, so done on the 10:30 session. So the next session is not until 2:50, 10 minutes till close. Or I'm sorry, 2 o'clock to 2:50. The last hour of the market. Yeah, I was just bringing up. Looks like I'm not getting. I'm going to have to get. Soybeans not having a good morning this morning. Looks like another full stop. Actually, that trade is avoidable because you have a spike down to the entry on the prior bar. So I would definitely push the entry down at least one tick, and that would have kept you out of that. Oh my goodness. Crude missing its money management and right back up to the moving averages again. looks like it's trying to push down, but it's really having a tough time doing it. Okay. That grayed out long trade is the crossover filter keeping us out of the long. All right, there's a short on the micro ES, but we are POQ, so that one can just go away. Getting back up to 74.20 again. Okay, coming up on 11 o'clock. And within one tick of stopping out. And there's a stop out on crude. That is unfortunate. And that actually, crude, the 11 a.m. crude session would be the only active chart I have now. So I believe, unless there are questions, it's time to call it a morning. Ron, I will take a look at the TA this afternoon and try to answer your question about that setting tomorrow. But does anybody have any questions today? Thank you very much, Roger. Everybody have a good day. We'll see everybody back tomorrow. Troy is still traveling, so I'll be in doing the regular Wednesday session and the crude oil report tomorrow. So we will see everybody then.